welcome to episode 7 of OverDrive this time now.
Episode 7, we're nearly getting into double figures.
We'll be into double figures before we know it, won't we?
Yeah.
So we've got some really interesting things that's popped up this time. Even so that we sort of struggled at first sort of to get out and record and stuff because of the weather.
Yeah.
We really just couldn't get anywhere, and eventually when we did, as some things have shown, it's been freezing, absolutely freezing. But we soldiered on. So first, what we've got coming up, we stumbled upon a garage which is basically on my doorstep.
Yeah, Lanka Garage.
Lanka Garage at Kirkheaton, and they happily let us film 3 of the Saabs which they've got in there. And the first Saab which we're going to see is a Saab 900 SE convertible.
What a car.
A 21-year-old Saab, about 90,000 I think it said on the clock, but what really struck us was the condition of the car.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect, what you'd expect for that age. I mean, you can't ask anything more. And as you'll see from the video, if you're a bit of a Saab lover like what we are, you'd really take to this car. It's one of those sort of says it all about Saab, as they were in the heyday. So here comes the Saab 900 SE convertible. A spanking car, this.
Today we are at Lanka Garage in Kirkheaton, where we are looking at 3 rather special little cars.
As you can see, 3 gorgeous Saabs, ranging from convertible to estate to a saloon.
So 3 quite distinct cars, one very distinct manufacturer.
And here we are in this Saab 900 SE convertible.
Yes, damn, this really is a nice car.
And what a car. I'll just say it, I live 5-10 minutes at a push away from here, and I pass here every day nearly if I have to go to my aunties and such. I always pass this garage, and I saw this, and I thought this is an immaculate car for a P-Reg.
Yeah.
20 plus years we're talking, aren't we?
Yeah. About 21 years?
Yeah, I'd say we're going on to 21 years easy. So we had to have a look, and we've got 3 Saabs to look at, and this is the first.
This one is a 900 SE convertible.
It is a 900 SE in, I'm not sure what Saab would call this colour, but all I can say is if you want to visualise it, it's a ruby red, basically. A nice royal colour, let's say.
And nice contrasting cream and black interior as
We
well.
noticed this straight away, didn't we? We love the idea that they've not gone too gloomy, and we've got this lovely cream interior which complements the black trim, and it sits nicely. It makes it a nice place to be both for the rear
And the front.
and the front. And we've sort of taken the Saabs as a whole, but just look at the things we've got on a car like this.
Yeah.
I think we've got air.
Air conditioning, I mean, there's one button that we're not sure about, isn't there?
Yes, there's some like the arrows and like a toggle thing for up and down. I think they're like directional things for vents.
Unless it's turning them off.
It could be to shut them down maybe or something, I'm not sure, but I think you've even got speaker systems in the down. I like that.
Door handles are in a good place as well, so you're not going to accidentally catch them
Again,
and pull the door
it's all built for that purpose, that when you're getting out, you've got to make that, you're doing that one action to get out, so like you say, they're not going to be clumsy or getting in your way.
You know what I've noticed as well? I think this is the only seat that goes forward.
Oh,
Yours
right.
got a thing that says, yours has got a dial
It's
here,
got that there.
but mine's got a seat release. You've got to point forward. I've got another one on this side as well.
And on that side, sorry.
Have you got one on that side?
Yes, there's one on this side, yes. Yeah, you've got a
Okay.
seat release there, and then, so it's just for the driver, I think, that to adjust that.
Yeah. I get another seat
So
release.
you can obviously take it that, but you can, you've got, again, Saab again. Some people look at that and think, hang on, have they put a driver's seat in that one? Is it the wrong way around? But they're on both sides.
But I suppose that's if you've got somebody in the back and the passengers got out and forgotten about them, they can then pull it up and push it forward.
How many cars would have that? They'd only have it on one side, wouldn't they? Saab again, look, you think.
Full of ideas.
So
We've got the joysticks again.
we have for the vents. That a good touch there, I think. Do you know they're much more easier to use?
Yeah.
You've got a very robust toggle switch, which
And
Can
it's
we pull it out?
quite resistive as well, so it's not going to flop around everywhere.
Yeah, it's not something, I mean, like I said, I've said it once before, but we're talking 20-some-year-old car. These feel
Like the brand new.
like they're brand new. They feel so stiff and hard that you think they're not going to break. And look how old they are. Of course, with the age of this car, we've got like a cassette player and such, but we have found a button that says disc.
And it's quite warm.
So it looks like, I think, somewhere there might be a disc changer somewhere in here that might be hidden somewhere. And they're using a disc as well from somewhere, but we're not
check the glove box.
quite sure about that.
It's definitely not
It's
in
not in
the
there.
glove box, but I have found
We have the road tax disc.
a tax disc. 2015.
So we took you 3 years there, haven't we?
Yeah. And the price then was £230 to tax it.
Right.
So that it puts it into the old tax system
It does, yeah.
and in the upper part of the old tax system.
We are talking, this is a 2-litre turbo. I bet you can move still, actually.
Probably.
It's got that strength which all Saabs are known for. I mean, these A-pillars don't even call it this one.
Yeah.
We've been a convertible, it's all you've got for pillar. But just look at it.
It's about that thick.
It is, and there's much more of a chunk of car here than what there is on the EcoSport pillars. There is on the pillars, so it's much there for pillars.
Yeah, but the thing is, they do over-engineer the A-pillars in convertibles anyway. I mean, Saab over-engineered the cars anyway at this point in time.
Did it?
And the A-pillars for the windscreen on a convertible will be further over-engineered, because if you were to somehow flip your car, quite a lot of the strength that's going to stop you from being flattened is in that.
So it's really down to this, isn't it? The condition of this car, I think the roof's going to be in the same condition.
Yeah. Well, here's an interesting thing with convertibles like this that have been made from effectively a regular saloon. Because they've lost the strength of the roof, what they have to do is over-engineer the floor to actually bring that rigidity back into the car.
Yeah.
So what that tends to do is make it heavier,
Yeah.
which then lowers the centre of gravity. So I bet this column as well.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking the underneath's going to be a bit built like a tank then underneath, isn't it? Which is probably serving it because of its age and the conditions we get with the roads and such. The underneath's probably pretty good nick still.
Most likely.
Against some regular cars which could be suffering now. So there is that as well. It's bomb-proof underneath. It probably is. With your display, typical Saab again, the way they lay everything out, your ignition key down here, love that idea. Your window controls and everything, the control for the roof, all down here. But I think that's always a good thing because
It's out of the way.
they're out of the way, and it takes clutter away from all up here and on the places where you wouldn't want stuff really. We've got this button that we found, and it doesn't say night panel button. It says black panel.
Yep.
If anyone out there knows if the black panel was the old night panel, please let us know because we're not sure. But it's another Saab thing that's popped up out of nowhere that if you press it lots can happen, so we just don't know there. But also, like I say, your instruments, your speedo and all that, your rev counter, they're on their own, but then you've got your final instrument that's got your temperature, your fuel, your turbo gear, and it's all put together, and I like that sort of idea. So, and what we did notice as well in the back, we've got lights in the back.
And I found the switch.
And you've found the switch for the lights. Oh great, yeah. Yeah, so we've even got lights in the back, 2 little light clusters outside for the rear passengers, so when the roof's down and such.
And the directional as well, you can have them facing further up or further down.
Yeah, it's just those little touches, and we're talking about it's in a car that's
20 years old.
20 years old. The steering is one how you'd expect it to wear for a car this age.
It's not breaking up or anything like that.
There's a slight in an area, but it's not in the areas, let's say, where you'd be manhandling the steering wheel. Everything is warm, nice and smooth, all in the right places. So it's It's just aged nicely. Has a lovely clock, which is right.
Yeah.
And it's just an inviting car to be in. And I can just imagine just driving along with this, and there you go. Top down. Sun's come out as well now we start talking about it.
Wing mirror adjustment.
A nice little button here for it. You've got your little flick switch for your left and right, whichever you want to toggle about. And then you've got a nice little toggle button. Still feels as new as the day what we're on.
Just for directional control.
Just a directional, for adjusting your mirrors. Follow. Little tiny side vents, obviously, to blow across your mirrors and such, and to your corner of your window. These vents will be brilliant, all directional and massive. And then you have vents in the rear.
Yep.
And a little thing we found with a flick switch underneath, hoping it's not got NOS, but it's obviously for some purpose. It might be, I don't think it's an extended thing to do with the alarms, it could be.
Well, there's a switch there, but I'm not going to flick it.
So yeah, everything's perfect. Your sun visors with the vanity lights and everything.
There's a sensor here.
You've got your sensor up here. I think it's like a perimeter thing, isn't it? Obviously your alarm and such. And yeah, what a beautiful cabin to be in. Still feels so solid and as tight as a drum.
And there's plenty of room in the back as well.
Yeah, there is. There's your ample sort of room. I mean, you're never going to get a massive amount of room in a convertible, but for one this size and that, nice. And don't them back seats look as good as the front ones?
They look superb.
2 headrests, obviously, for each seat.
There's only two seat belts in the back.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not designed to be cramming loads of people in. It is what it is. But boy, does it do it well.
Yeah.
So that's...
This is the sort of thing you could take yourself and a few friends to the seaside.
You could, yeah.
Blackpool illuminations, roof down.
Roof down, yeah. Your fingers crossed you get that one good day.
Yeah.
But isn't it worth it? If you do get that one day to have the roof down in a car like this. So I think that's the SAAB 900 SE convertible covered for now. There is 3 cars, isn't there?
There is. This is the first of 3.
It's the first of 3, and all I'll say for now is I think I found my favourite already.
That was the SAAB 900 SE convertible, and it was really a car that we both loved.
Yeah, I can only say what a bang for your buck. For what that car they're asking for it and for what it is, you could get some fair few years of enjoyment out of a car like that.
Yeah.
You really could, and I'm, as you see in the video, I am so taken to that SAAB.
Yeah, me too.
But like I say, it's each to their own, but I really was taken to it. Coming up now, we've got the long-term review of the EcoSport, haven't we?
Yeah, and that threw up some interesting things, didn't it?
It sort of did. As you remember, going back way to episode 2, I did a short review on the EcoSport in nice weather, and it seemed a fun sort of usable car, and it seemed to be, it is what it is. But we wanted a long-term review. It is a Motability car, and from my dad, and I am the name driver of it, and we wanted to see how it is, let's say, performed in nearly a year coming up to ownership of it.
Yeah.
And as you'll see from this video, it did throw up some surprising issues. More, let's say, cons and pros. So here comes a long-term review of the EcoSport.
EcoSport, long-term test.
Yeah, long-term test of this car, which you will have seen last year now, isn't it, when it got reviewed?
Episode 2.
In episode 2, and the car was fresh-faced, brand new to, let's say, my dad, because it's my dad's Motability car, and I drive it for him, and it's a bit of a review to, let's say, see how it's coming along in, let's say, nearly a year. We're in March, aren't we?
Yeah. So bear in mind, this is the Series 1, the original.
It is. This is the first EcoSport, which now is looking dated, as we know the new one, the facelift model, is out. It's out now to buy, and is based on the new Fiesta. Hence with all the new interior of the Fiesta and such like. But the outside of his second Mark 1. It is just a bit of a facelift with the bumpers and such. So, really, how's this car standing up now? There's the new kid on the block sort of thing.
Well, and also, how's it been over a year? Well, it could be up to a year.
Nearly coming up to a year, and the mileage on this car's now, I will say, 6,800 and some.
Okay, so
Pretty sort of average mileage. It's not a car that's going to and from workplace, obviously, but it's having a good run every day. It's performed okay. I'd say as to miles to gallon, I'm a bit disappointed.
okay.
They claim a combined of 53. Now, we all know with any car it never does what they actually claim, but you like to think it might get somewhere near. And I hate to report that this is only doing, at the moment, 33.7 to the gallon.
Mind you, are you doing stop-start? Is it all short journeys?
Some are, yeah. Most journeys out of them are short.
It's interesting because this is the least powerful
It
of
is.
all the SUVs at 123 horsepower.
Yeah, it is.
But it has quite a lot of torque for it.
It does, yeah.
Now, when I can't remember what it's called now, the replacement for the Nissan Duke comes along, that's only going to have 1 horsepower more than this and less torque.
Isn't that strange, yeah.
This is a 1.6 litre engine as well, whereas this is a 1 litre engine.
Just a litre. Yeah.
And but what they've done is they've taken the turbocharger away,
Right.
which has reduced the horsepower considerably.
Yeah. The one thing that's obviously showing on this car now, and it would if you put it next to the new one, is interior.
Yeah.
Now, I've got this sort of gripe. We know it's based on the Ford Fiesta,
Okay.
which has this interior. Obviously, some get a better stereo in some Fiestas and such, but it is still the whole same shape and that. And that's the gripe. The new Fiesta, I'm not so charmed on the outside looks, but it's got it going on the inside, which obviously is what you'll get with the new EcoSport. It's now suffering with this old interior, and it has thrown up a couple of issues.
Okay.
We all know about this armrest that I keep banging on about, which even this morning really got to me. My dad had got nicely belted up and he'd got his coat on which was hanging down, and I came to put the handbrake down and I eventually just went and then put the handbrake down and then went like that. And Ford will have addressed this now with a new one. I think there's an adjustable big armrest which slides right back and your handbrake is further forward. No, it's all out of the way. They've done what they should have done in the first place. But my main gripe, and it's not for me, it's for my dad. This is a mobility vehicle and it's not got a single grab handle anywhere.
No,
Not in the back for the passengers, not even for myself, not even blanking spots where there should be any, and especially for the passenger on that side, there's nothing.
So
And
somebody's struggling to get in, wanting everything to actually
as
grab hold.
sometimes my dad can do if he's not having a brilliant day and he's struggling to get in, and as in this bad weather he's had to be very careful getting in and out of the car. I've actually had to get an extra handle for him to clip in place with the car. And it's not my favourite Ford. It is a mobility car, it's what my dad got, and it is serving its purpose to a point. Boot space is not major neither, but one other thing I must point out, and because of these cold days we've had, and I've found this out, and I hope Ford have addressed this, I'm used to Fords with heated windscreens. And now with this EcoSport you've got heated mirrors,
Yeah.
but you haven't got a heated windscreen, and you've just got one large vent right in the centre, and it's got a maximum button which when you press it puts the blowers on full,
Yeah.
and it puts your rear heated windscreen on, which I knock off sometimes because if you don't need it it's a waste.
Yeah.
So I have that blasted, and sometimes when your windscreen's completely frozen it takes ages to clear.
They were really good.
Plus things in this, like I said with the bad weather we've had, bad obviously the windscreen, it has been good in the snow. You have got that bit of clearance, and I found it okay.
Yeah.
Driving in bad weather, it's been good. I thought with these sort of fat sort of tyres it might struggle, but it didn't. So there was that, which is okay. You get used to the rear door opposite way it opens. Actually, I found now that's better, because if you're on your right hand side for getting in your car and you're quickly going to put something in the car, you only have to open it ajar and you can just put it straight in and shut it. Whereas it'd be opening the other way at you
Yeah.
and you have to go round.
Yeah.
So now, once you get used to that idea, I think it serves its purpose
Serves its
better.
purpose quite well.
Yeah.
So does the drivetrain feel like it's going to last a long time?
No, I'll say it feels good,
Yeah.
but I'd say, give or take, let's say 5 years or so going down the line, I think you might have issues with your clutch, because there's been moments with this clutch where it's also felt as if it's gone like that a bit, and then you also sometimes can get a smell from it.
Almost like it's slipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At first I thought, well, that a newness sort of thing, and it just, but I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a clutch that's going to be a bit weak as it goes on. And I never noticed anything like that with a Fiesta. It's done shy of, let's say, 7,000 miles, and it feels exactly the same to drive as the day I drove it away.
Okay. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, nothing's changed that way, but I still get that niggly feeling that maybe years down the line it's going to have its little grumbles and that.
So in driving, how's it handled?
Do you know, sometimes, because of, let's say, the lack of stuff it's got, and it won't weigh so much for the stuff it's lost, it sometimes gives you that impression that you're in a go-kart. And you know you can't sort of do some high-powered speeds, but it gives you that, come on then, it's always like that, it's wanting you to, and you can really chuck it around and stuff, and I'm surprised how nippy it is. It seems to follow that way of the Fiesta. It hasn't lost that purely because it's a bit chunkier and higher up and that. It still gives that impression that you want to, come on, and it's always wanting to push it. For all that Fiesta, which I still think's the nicest looking Fiesta, it has suffered because of the old interior and things, but that would happen with any vehicle that's getting changed.
It would, yeah.
You can't really knock it, but to be fair, some of the features on it look like they'd be very hard wearing, that would take a lot of knocks, and let's say 5-6 years down the line and look just as fresh and new as what the day they were put on.
So overall, a good car.
Well, let's say if I were giving it out of 100, I'd have to give it, say, up to press for how it's been performing and all that, especially with bad weather and such. If you take away the fact of windscreen and stuff, I'd say I'd have to give it about an 80.
Okay.
I think what's let it down is its lack of things, but not because they couldn't do it. I think it's been sheer, they don't need it. Yeah. Like, I think it still should have come with 4-wheel drive. And I also think it should have come with handrails all around, because they're not that expensive, and the heated windscreen. Other things I can live with. I mean, with this armrest, it might be a bit of an annoyance, but it's not as if it's in a fixed position. If you don't like it like that, you can put it away, and that's it. But I'm one of these that when I'm driving, I tend to like to have, so I do like to keep it there, even so it gets in the way, because I always do this. So it does feel like a Fiesta that it's built on. It does even drive like a Fiesta. You get the feeling you can chuck it around your corners, and it is nimble. I mean, I have driven the other Fiesta which this is based on. I think it was a 59 plate one, that was a titanium, which was a Motability car. And it feels like I'm just in the same vehicle. Yes, it was always going to be one that threw up niggles, but also surprised you in other little ways that you used to think, oh yeah, that's not so bad, that. So yeah, overall, it's a car for now. We've had nearly a year, and we can live with it. But I say live with because we wouldn't keep it.
Okay.
There's too many things out there that are as good or better.
Yeah. That was the Ford EcoSport long-term review. And there are actually other things that we didn't have time to put into that edit that we've actually put into the discussions. We've got EcoSport Part 1, and we'll have an EcoSport Part 2 coming up because I had to miss it this week. So that will be coming up next week. And yeah, some interesting stuff.
Yes, it did. I mean, when we're talking of an EcoSport that's only coming up to a year old, and there's one thing I've even found today, the rear wiper on this car, the rivet areas and such, and where the fixings are already rusting, which I think is a bit of a worry of a car that can't be no more than over a year old, even if it's from being made and rolling out of a factory. So that's a bit of an issue already. So I dread to think, let's say, with it being a mobility car, when it gets to 3 years, you get the option, do you want to continue having the car as a mobility car, or do you want to just trade in for a new car, which everybody would obviously just get a new car. So that's what will happen to it. So we'll never MOT this car. It'll probably go to any garage, be MOT'd, and then be sold on. So that'll be someone else's, I won't say a problem, it'll be someone else's thing to deal with. But speaking of MOTs, you have a feature on MOTs, haven't you, fellas?
Yeah. So last year we filmed the Rover 75 going through its annual MOT, and you can actually see the issue that it initially failed on. So this shows the things that cars go through on the MOT, and also discuss the changes that are coming up as of May the 20th this year, 2018. So yeah, let's have a look at what's happening with an MOT and what's going to be happening.
We're good this.
Now, it's MOT time, and you're sat there like the expectant parent wondering if your car's going to be okay. But have you ever wondered what the MOT involves? Not only that, are you aware of the changes that'll be coming up later this year? We're going to show you a few behind the scenes things so you can see exactly what happens in your MOT. So as part of the MOT test, you've got the usual things which involve things like checking the seat belts, checking for any particular warning lights that are on that shouldn't be on, and checking generally around the car to look for any serious defects that might be quite obvious. With the lights though, when you're actually checking the headlight alignment, there's now a special device that actually goes in front of the headlights, and you can actually measure how the beam's set up through that with each individual headlight. You can see how far it's off, and it's a lot better than it used to be with a pattern on the wall watching the light pattern, because you could have some variance. The device that checks the lights is quite complicated. It has a meter reading on the top. You shine the light in and it shows you then just how far the light is out. There's also a viewpoint on top of the device, as well as the lens at the front where the light is shone in. So the device is movable, so it's easily aligned to each car's individual headlights. The brake tests are done on a rolling road, which tests the efficiency of the front brakes, the rear brakes, and also the handbrake as well. Then we're on to the emissions test. So first there's a probe put into the sump through the dipstick hole, and this measures the temperature of the oil as the engine's running. This is more accurate than using a water gauge, for example, or checking the coolant in that respect. Until the oil gets above 60 degrees centigrade, certainly in diesels, no test will be performed. Another remote sensor is placed at the rear of the car into the exhaust pipe, and this is what will measure the contaminants coming out. Too high, or if there's something that's out of balance, the car will fail. But usually with the emissions problems, it's often down to a sensor that's running out of spec and needs to be replaced. Then we start moving on to checking things like the steering and suspension. On the ramp, there is a special area where the front wheels of the car go. These two plates that you can see the wheel on move side to side, effectively moving the wheel around to show if there's any wear and tear in ball joints, if there's any mount problems, so anything that could affect the steering quite seriously. While that happens, there's also a manual check through the engine bay to see if there's anything that's amiss with things like the drive shaft. Now we get on to the manual and visual checks of the steering and suspension systems. This is on top of the test we saw earlier. This is to identify any inner ball joints, checks for other play in the steering and suspension systems that can't be seen easily, and see if they've actually causing a problem and failing. The car is then raised further for additional manual checks. As you can see with this one, there's a little bit of wear on one of the inner ball joints. Also at this point, brake pipes are checked along with the suspension systems such as the shock absorbers for leaking, suspension bushes, the tyre tread, and also the rubber seals on things like ball joints and the steering rack. The rear suspension is checked in a similar way. Before the car's lowered, the inside of the tyres are checked for problems with the tyre wall, and also things like the exhaust mounts are also checked. The underside of the car is also checked for structural defects, things like holes appearing in the floor or problems with the sills. Finally, once all those checks are done, the MOT is complete and the car can leave the bay. So, that was how MOTs have previously been done, but from May the 20th this year, 2018 if you're watching this further on, things are actually going to change. The brake discs are going to be checked for oil contamination. Any oil contamination on there which could affect the pads will result in a fail. But also, diesels are going to come under more scrutiny, especially if you have a DPF or diesel particulate filter fitted. Any smoke of any colour emitted by a car fitted with a DPF will fail straight away. Also, your DPF will get examined. If it appears that the DPF has been cut open and welded shut again, unless the owner can prove that this was for maintenance reasons, again, it's going to be a failure. If the DPF has been tampered with, again, it will be a failure. But if the DPF is missing, again, that's going to be a failure. So all those of you who've maybe removed your DPF and fitted a bypass of some form, you're going to have a problem as of May the 20th. Right, so that's what's going to be happening in MOTs and also what currently happens in MOTs. So there's a few things that a lot of people aren't actually aware of. Now, moving on, we now have our last of the line SAABs. We have 2 Saab 9.3s, we have a 2008 Estate and a 2011 Saloon. The Estate being a turbo diesel, the Saloon being a twin turbo diesel.
The last of the generation of the Saabs, some people will say that's when they was at the best. Some might argue, well, that's when they was having the niggles with GM before it all crumbled to what it did. Because there is some people out there that are more, let's say, prefer Saabs of the older time. Let's say like that convertible we saw. So seeing these two 9.3s, and when you can compare them with the others, you will see a generation between the first Saab right to the last of the line, and they are beautiful cars. Both of these Saabs was. We were amazed by them. They were damn good average mileage, and they were pristine in condition.
They were.
They were really good. And when you see what sort of price they was asking for the Estate, you're talking under £5,000 for a turbo diesel Estate on a 2008 plate. It was so much for your money. So if you sort of see past what's actually happened with Saab, you're still getting some brilliant cars there to buy. Yeah. So you take a look at these videos and see what you think of these Saabs. And if you're a Saab fan like me and Malcolm are, I'm sure you'll agree that these were 3 really good examples. Yeah, so here we are in the Saab 9.3 Estate, isn't it?
Yes, straight away compared to the convertible we've looked at and the 9.5 we looked at earlier, you can tell you're in a smaller cabin, but it's not central-wise. It's from your knee to the door. It's not got as much room that way, but you've still got plenty of room that way.
Yeah, I think out of one of the Saab ones, it feels slightly gloomy, but it's because everything's black.
But having said that, the half-leather seats are faring well.
They are.
And they're comfortable.
We're talking 2008, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, 2008.
We've got a mileage of 77,310. And we compare that with the convertible we looked at, which is on the 90,000 miles, and the difference in age. That just shows how well mileage that convertible's doing. But everything's gone up in spec as you'd appreciate with any car would. We've got a night panel button. We're still keeping that no matter how many years we're on by. But things with the display have gone very more modern and crisp, haven't they?
Yeah.
You've got your like brushed like aluminium around all the switches and such.
The thing is though, and this obviously was a GM era car, these dials here for the air conditioning actually are very similar to what I had in an Astra SRI.
Right.
When I was in Ireland a few years ago. And in a way, they're not exactly the same, but they are very, very similar.
So you can see that this is when there was under the ownership of GM Motors and that, and
Yeah.
they had to do basically, or they were supposed to do what GM wanted them to do.
Which
They did to a point, but
Yeah.
Saab knew better. And we can actually see in most cases the reasons why. Because what they were building before, they knew they could build good cars.
Yeah.
And they had the good ideas.
And there are some still some Saab touches in here.
There is.
You've still got the handles for the.
I always like these
The
toggle
vents,
things
yeah.
for the vents. They're a very good touch. They are. They seem to be wearing better than the older Saab. These seem more flimsy
Yeah.
and looser. But obviously, I think that's the nature of the plastics. And you don't just get that in the later on Saabs. I think you get it in a lot of cars.
But,
We've still got the original ignition key down there, which I always
Yeah.
like.
we also have this strange cup holder.
Saabs were always very odd with the cup holders.
Actually, I'm
Wasn't
not
it?
even sure it's supposed to be a cup
We're
holder.
not sure if it is. I think I don't know.
Oh yes, it is.
It
There you
is.
go.
That's how it doubles up as a cup. You see, there again, very strange, but there it is. I notice how the design, how it sweeps around the cabin here. That when you put the handbrake down,
It blends in.
it blends in with the surroundings, which I think that's a good idea.
That is.
It's a really good design, and this is all what Saab was about. Mentioning cup holders, that one's a ripe shock. When that comes out, I remember the one that used to press, and I liked that one.
The one with the 9.5.
Yeah, I think a lot of thought and design had gone into that cup holder. I think they had massive meetings about that. But this one, it's a bit of a surprise is how that comes out. But I like how it neatly folds away.
The compartment there complete with 12-volt connection. as
Oh
well.
yes, yeah, a very generous size that. One thing I've noticed when learning about spaces and cubbyholes and stuff like that.
Oh, see? It
Oh,
slides forward.
adjustable. Yeah. I found no means of opening the glove box until I saw that button, and voila, a nice big generous glove compartment there, which
That's,
sweeps back.
that's bigger than the 9.5s, wasn't it?
I think it was, because I think the 9.5 had a separate inside piece, like a shelving, which
Yeah.
I think sort of restricted you putting bigger stuff in. But I really like that touch of, it's a bit James Bond is that to me. I expect if you press it, a little if your lights go along and it opens up, as if you've got to put a thumb code on it or something, and you can impress people saying it'll only unlock like that. it's different. And
Yeah.
that's Saab, isn't it?
We've got the controls on the steering wheel for various functions. It looks like we've got radio there and cruise control.
Yeah, I think we'd have a cruise control with a bit of a motorway monster like this one, to be fair.
A couple of buttons. It's a bit gloomy down here, so we can't see.
This is the thing, isn't it, about gloominess in this? Boy, it's a damn good job that it has a light interior above.
Need lights.
Yeah.
How many lights? It's like something out of Close Encounters.
We've got 4 there, haven't we? With a right cluster of lights, and no point. The vanity mirrors again all got lighting on.
Oh yes.
This time though, they've put switches on
Yeah, they're actually on
by
the doors.
near the handles for the windows and such. So they've lost that idea there. Now don't get me wrong, it's not as if they haven't got the room, because I still think they could have incorporated them somewhere around here,
Yeah,
or maybe even at the front here.
or even just got rid of that holder there.
Yeah.
Put them there. There's actually a very, very generous storage area here under where the radio and the centre console is. Certainly bigger than the 9.5s and the 900s.
Yeah, nice storage space there, isn't there? you have plenty of legroom and you've tons in the back, but obviously again this is an estate, so you'd expect all that. I will point out, as one video mentions it, a car that does not come with any grab handles.
Oh yeah.
And it's got them all the way around, so no one misses out if they need to grab themselves out, or even while they're in the car, just adjust themselves in the seat.
We have airbags.
Side impact airbags, aren't we, for the pillars and things? They're always a good touch. You've got them in the pillars going further back.
And the very generous boot space as well.
Now let's not forget, you've got airbags here, but you've still got the trademark of Saab of whopping pillars.
Yeah.
The thickness.
Not quite as thick, but pretty much that.
Yeah. I think you could tell that this was going the way of GM Motors, wasn't it? It was going to what they wanted, and that was it. And Saab wanted to make it even more safer, and these were the issues started. Saab wanted to be Saab, and who can blame them?
The only thing missing, we've still got the same 3-cluster dashboard as we have in the 900 and the 95. But the only thing missing is, on this one, with being the diesel, is the turbo.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is no turbo. There's no turbo.
Right, yeah, because obviously this is a diesel. We have noticed it's a 6-speed gearbox. This
6-speed gearbox, and this is where we're going to get a few little quirks of UK vehicle tax. This is around about 120 brake horsepower, and because of the emissions on it with being a diesel, probably a 2-litre diesel, then we are looking at around about £130 in tax a year, which may well be going up soon. But the next car, that's going to be a little bit different.
So we're in a much, let's say, different but similar car, aren't we?
Yeah, it's another 9.3. You've got pretty much exactly the same interior, but you've got the cream and black contrast, which immediately lightens the whole car.
What a difference it seems to make this to be in. This is a 2011 model, so we've gone up from 2008. We're talking nearly about the same spec, but this is saloon.
And still with the 6-speed gearbox.
A lovely 6-speed gearbox.
How many miles we've done?
We're doing 66,233, so not bad at all. It's had its normal running, let's say. It won't even be running at that sort of mileage. They've kept the same contrast as they brushed around all the instruments and switches and stuff.
Yeah.
But it feels a nicer place to be sat in purely because of this seating colour and everything.
It's lighter, it's more airy.
It is.
And you wouldn't actually believe you were sat in the same car.
We do have a turbo one on this, so that obviously that's another good touch.
So we've got exactly the same setup for the vents.
We have, yeah, we've got the lovely toggle switches, feel exactly the same quality again. So this actually shows, I think they went for lighter plastics and things, easy to move, because of the difference in age, but they feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
There's no, this feels tighter because it's newer sort of thing. It feels exactly the same. So the 2008 one is still holding its own exactly the same in build quality and wearing well as this is.
Keys in the same place.
As lovely, what we always like for Saabs, because you feel like you're in a fighter jet. I can see where they get this from, because you feel like you're really doing something different.
Yeah.
The ignition down there, which I love, but like the estate, the controls for the windows and such and things are all up by the doors now and that, which is a big change from the original Saab convertible we saw. But it looks like we've got green display, like I think we had green in the other one.
Yeah.
You've got your night panel button, which I think Saab would have fought tooth and nail to keep that night panel button, no matter what GM Motors or whoever owned them would say. So we've got all the generous cubby hole again for where the armrest is.
But the thing I've noticed, I thought that might be the only 12-volt socket. When you open the ashtray,
We have a second one that's actually not far between, and you've already got two 12-volt power units straight away.
yeah,
Which is really good. All the lights again, so you've ample lighting in that cluster. Your rear lighting as well, you've got plenty.
you've also got your ambient sensor on the
For the mirror, yeah. Now this is what I mean about how that really older model is wearing well. Because when you look at this steering wheel, this is its normal wear, and it's shiny and all around perfect wear.
Yeah.
But looks nearly about the same as what that right down there does. So how well that one is standing up still, if this is your normal sort of wear.
Yeah.
That must say a lot about SAAB build quality, it was.
Definitely.
Because there's not a lot of cars that will last like that.
But here's what I was sort of alluding to with the strange tax situation in the UK.
Oh yes.
The estate was a diesel, 2 litre, and 120 brake horsepower, and it would be about £140 a year in tax. This one is a more powerful engine, and it is £30 a year in tax, or £32 a year in tax. But it's all down to emissions.
Yeah.
And
that's what did it, didn't it?
Yeah. So the theory being that this should have less carbon dioxide output, and probably, to be fair, the power and the reduction in emissions has come from the turbo.
Yeah.
Because that's where you've got an advantage with the EcoSport. You've got a 1 litre engine, but you've got 1 horsepower less than the Nissan, the new Nissan small SUV's 1.6 litre engine. The difference being yours is turbocharged, theirs is naturally aspirated.
That's it, yeah. So you see a lot of things there that people probably realise when you say what the road tax is on this. Quite a surprise there actually when you see the size of the car and all that, and you think, well, you know.
Yeah, what are you getting?
What you're getting. This looks like changing the subject, but it looks like a lovely close gearbox. This.
That is exactly the same as the one, certainly the gear lever is exactly the same one that's in the diesel.
It is, yeah.
Both of them are 6-speed vehicles as well. Oh, there are a few more buttons down here.
We found some extra buttons which I'm not sure if they're on. Oh, it's for the heated seats, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aircon off, hazards, heated seats, rear
So
rear
this one
windscreen.
has full leather.
Yes, the other was half leather, wasn't it? But at a glance, I didn't realise because it was such a dark, gloomy interior there. And when you just look through the window, you think the seat, because you see the edges, you just naturally think it's all black leather.
And the thing is, you can actually see the quality of the leather just by looking at it.
Yeah.
You don't need to be worrying about too much about being too thin or anything like that.
They didn't skimp on leather at all.
Well, that was the thing. That was SAAB didn't skimp, and that was part of the problem.
They didn't skimp on anything, did they? Really?
No.
I think Saabs are always big and generous in everything. I think the leg room in the back, and also when you position your seat.
Your
for the
seat's
driver.
right back, and there's still quite a lot of leg room directly behind you.
And as we commented before, the sculpture of the rear seats on all of them, even the convertible, they're just like sofas. They're just like big, comfy leather sofas.
Yeah.
They really are, and they're an inviting place to be. It's just like that comfy old slipper, isn't it? That you it really is. And they keep you safe. Such a safe vehicle as well.
Yeah, they do.
So there's the Saab trio.
Those were 3 very distinct Saabs. There were 2 993s, but each one was different in character. We had the turbo diesel, we had the twin turbo diesel, and we have the convertible.
The 900 SE convertible, which is my favourite.
Yeah.
It's the one, as daft as it seems, it's the one for the money. I'd drive away because I've been getting so many thrills out of the bumpers Saab in a convertible, which I've never actually owned a convertible. So that would be my first thing to
Yeah, I mean, it's my favourite as well, but it's not the car that I would actually drive away.
No. If I've been practical, and I would go for the saloon.
If I had £6,000, I'd buy them both.
That would be a good package actually, but my heart's telling me, you know Saab bonkers. Saab were really good at what they did.
Yeah.
And it's a shame they're not here. And I'd say what better to celebrate it with a
convertible. I'd say one of the peak times of churning out the cars they're in. But I'm sure you'll find a favourite in any of these street if you're a Saab fan. And it was nice to find this garage here at Kirky and then touch on these cars because they're a piece of history nowadays.
So, thank you to Lanka Garage for allowing us to film here.
Thanks a lot for allowing us to do this. It's been a pleasure.
And just as a note as well, if you ever need a Saab servicing or you need parts for a Lancia, this is the place to go.
Yeah, it's worth travelling that extra mile, let's say, to find this place. It'll serve you well here.
And it's one of those traditional.
It is. You will find that.
With that, that's episode 7 done with.
It is. It's from the Saabs. It's all sort of wrapped up now, isn't it? I'll just say that, like I said, where them Saabs came from, the Lanka garage we've found, a little gem of a garage that we've stumbled on. It was a bit like stepping back into the 80s, going in there. But
the good 80s.
the good 80s, yeah,
80s.
not the bad 80s, the good 80s. And if you do need a Saab specialist, and I will say a Lancia specialist, they do the servicing and MOTs and the job a lot, and it's always worth seeking him out.
Yeah.
It is. And if you're after a Saab as well, there's got 3 crackers that I've just seen there. So yeah, that sort of wraps this episode up, doesn't it, with that? And once again, it's been a pleasure with Malcolm putting this episode together.
And thank you, Martin, for being
You're
involved.
welcome. And like I said, we've done it in the harshest of weather and conditions, and we will be bouncing back with episode 8, probably with better weather and some other interesting things for you to look at.
So, with that, bye for now.
So that just sums it up. Goodbye.